Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and today we're going to have a shorter than normal stream. So I have a performance review at 2:30 Eastern Time, so that means like 59 minutes from now. So today I'm going to just do some easy things that we can finish within that time frame. So it's mostly going to be like some CSS. So I'll show you very quickly what I've done. I've only been today has been very busy in terms of having to do things out of the office, so I haven't really had that much time to work on this project, but I did get this drop down in here. So the select, so this is using the material UI select, and you can see it is working. So still not perfect, so it's going down on 2 lines. So I need to adjust some things, with the media queries, and maybe get rid of some of this padding and things. So not too bad. So I guess we can start by cleaning some of this up. I think we can definitely get this finished, and then maybe move on and just do some of the little UI things that we've been talking about and saying, like, hey, like we're definitely gonna want to do this at some point. Well, today's a good day to do that. So hey to everybody that's joining in the stream on Instagram. So I am doing live coding, so you can't see my screen on Instagram. If you'd like to see the code, check out the freeCodeCamp YouTube channel, and there's a live stream going on there as well, and you'll be able to see my screen and all the code. So let me bring over, let's see, I'll bring over my terminal, so know I'll need that at some point, and say hey to everybody in the live chat. Awesome. Gold asked, do you have any tips because I'm just starting out? If you want to do web dev, my good tip is start with freeCodeCamp and get through as much as you can, at least in the front end portion of it, and that'll be a really good starting point. And don't be afraid to ask questions in the chat. There's a lot of knowledgeable people, and we'll help you out as much as we can. All right, so let's get started. All right, so really easy thing that we can accomplish and for sure get something done is I'd like this to be centered. Yeah, I definitely think this would be centered, because especially since we'll be on mobile, I think it would look nicer. Yeah, it would look nicer centered. Might not look bad if it was a little bit wider as well, but I don't really want it to be full width, on a screen size like this. So for now, we'll just center it. So I'm going to inspect this, and I'll bring over DevTools. So if you're really just kind of starting out and you haven't used DevTools very often, you should get acquainted with DevTools, because it's going to be like your best friend in terms of helping you figure out how sites are built and try to change things without having to actually do anything with the code or save it. You can just go in and change things. Any site that you're on, you can use DevTools on and just switch things around and see how you like it. So for now, what I'm trying to do is find out where our container div is for this, and we'll see how we can do this. So maybe first thing I'm going to try is text align center. Okay, that somewhat accomplished what I wanted. So it has moved these into the center, and I did not want that. So if I add text line left. There we go. So I could add text align left. Let's make sure that that looks all right. Okay, not bad. Okay, and I guess the width of that is, it's all right. In terms of the words in here, it's definitely sufficient to fit even our longest item. All right, so it looks like that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to, on this div, we'll do text align center. That'll bring it to the center, and then we'll make sure on the container div for our select input, we do text align left. So now it's just a matter of making sure that we can get the style on this container div. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So we're using React, and in React we don't use normal HTML. It looks somewhat like HTML, but it's actually JSX, which is a JavaScript. Basically, it seems and it works like a JavaScript HTML mix. Okay, so you can do a lot of normal HTML things, but then you can also do some JavaScript things like some of the stuff we're doing here. So this is actually a React component, our select field. So you don't see a bunch of divs and then an input. We just see this component. So this references some other JavaScript file that actually does have all the markup that we just saw in DevTools. So what I'm going to try to do, and this should work, is we're going to put a class name. Actually, I can double check. Let's double check since we have it right here, because I think I have it up here. Yep, I already have the select field documentation. So we're using Material UI for a lot of our components. So in the documentation, we should see style, override the inline styles of the root element. Okay, we should be able to put the style. I didn't see a class. So I'm actually assuming both ways I was thinking of doing this will work. So initially I was going to put a class name here so that we can keep all of our styles in this one file, this logos .scss file. But in this case, I think I'd like to do it like this. Style text align. Oops, we have to camel case that. Text align left. Okay, so when we're in React, if we want to put a style on an element, we can put it in double curly brackets. It's not, if you break down the syntax, it makes sense, right? Because we need the curly brackets first to say, hey, we're going to do some JavaScript. And then once we're inside here, we want to make an object, right? So we use our curly brackets. And then this is just a key value pair within that object. And that's our CSS. Of course, the camel casing makes sense, right? Because if we would have left the hyphen in, it would have been interpreted as a minus sign. Alright, so this is our style here, and let's go with the style on here as well, because it'll save the extra step of putting the class on and then doing something with it over here. So we want to do text align, just like we did below, and this time we're going to do center, and let's see how that works out. So we've saved that. We have an automatic refresh, so we should see it. Yep, and that's exactly what we expected. Great. Okay, so you can see with DevTools, that allowed us to preview our change first, and then when we liked what it looked like, then we took it and put it in the code. May not seem like a big deal with what we just did, but it can save you a lot of time depending on what you're working on. Okay. And if you're not sure why I'm not getting real images here, it's just I have when I'm working on localhost, I can't pull the images, so it's I was trying to get it to actually work. I think Patrick, who's in the live chat often, had given some advice as to how to get that to work, and I just ran out of time. So these would be logos. Normally, they're supposed to be logos. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now for this, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of a lot of the space between these, and I don't think that that'll give us completely what we want. We may have to adjust it. I don't want to take the space too far in, right? Because I want them to be distinct, and I also don't really want to decrease the font size at all. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do. I actually might be able to just remove this this Year of Mercy, because that was like 2 years ago. So I doubt we need that logo anymore. And since this is our longest one, if I reduce the size and remove this, I think it should be okay. Yeah. Now, if we add another category later on, I'll have to work on that. But these categories have been set and have not changed at all for nearly a year and a half. So it's not something that's likely to change frequently. Okay, so let's do that. Let's take out the Year of Mercy one, and we'll see where that gives us. Just in case I wasn't clear about it, I don't want these to go onto 2 lines. I want it all to stay 1 line. So that's why I need to reduce the width of that section. Alright, so let's remove that, and this will give me a chance to show you how we're populating that in case you didn't get to see it. I think maybe 2 days ago we set this up. So all of the tab names are here, and when we go to create the tabs, we get the tabs here, and then we go over. Alright, so we iterate over that and then produce these LIs that have that name, and then we also use, as a key, we use the value, right, which we're calling tab key here, and that produces all those tabs. And we're doing a similar thing to produce each item in that select. So if we want to change it, all we have to do is remove it here, and it'll remove it in both menus, which is kind of nice. Saves a little bit of time. So let's remove that, and we should see this going away. Yep. Okay, so that's gone. I don't think that'll solve the problem completely. We'll give it a shot. No, it doesn't. Alright, let's reduce some of the space in here. So if you remember when we first did this earlier in the week, we had set it up so that we had padding around the A tags themselves, so it gave us a bigger click target, and then on the tabs, the LIs, we added the margins so that there was a gap in between the clickable areas. So if you see, as I scroll through, you can see that cursor change so that there's still that little gap. And I wanted to have that gap to help prevent people from accidentally clicking on the wrong category. But if we need to take it down to where there's no gap anymore, that's acceptable. I'm okay with that. Hopefully we won't have to take it down that far. So I still want to leave a nice size click area, so I'm not going to reduce that at all if I can help it, but I would like to reduce the margin. So here's where we set that margin, and right now we have 8 pixels on each side. So that means there's 16 pixels, right, of area that's just spacing, not clickable area. So let's drop that down by half. So if we go 4 pixels here, then that really gives us 8 pixels in between. And it still looks, it definitely looks distinct. Alright, because remember, we also have 8 pixels of padding as well. Oops. Oops, still not enough, not quite enough. So let's reduce that even more. I'm going to go down to 2. I'm kind of afraid I might have to go even further. Oh, yes, that works. Alright, great. So it works. I think it just barely works. But we've dropped that down so that we still have space. It's still, these are still distinct. I mean, no one's going to mistake this for a sentence, right? These are definitely, you know, spaced out. I would say at least 3 or 4 times the normal width of a space in a sentence. Okay. Alright, that works. And also, the users are used to a setup that is similar to this, with spacing that is similar. Actually, there may be even less spacing in the current site. So from a user's perspective, they're already used to having a setup like this and clicking it. So I think we'll be fine like this. So now that we've done this, and we've reduced that margin, we can just copy and paste it. In this case, I mean, it's not that hard to remember, it's 2, but it's nice to be able to copy and paste straight from DevTools into our code. So we have our Sass file. Sass is what's called a CSS preprocessor. It lets you do some nice things that you can't really do in CSS, like set variables, and there are a lot of other things you can do as well. And then you can have your Sass file get turned into CSS so that a browser can understand it. So we just need to find that tab. So here was our tab, and there's where we had it, our 8 pixels initially. And we'll paste in our 2 pixels, save it, and I don't think, I'm going to hard refresh because I want to remove what we did in here. There we go, and that works. Right, so sometimes I'll forget, and if I don't do a hard refresh, like let's say it's just, you can have like hot module reloading, and so it doesn't exactly cause a page refresh. So occasionally I'll change things in here and do a reload for something else. It'll reload the components, and it looks like everything is fine, and I forget that I haven't moved those styles over yet. And then when I do actually have a refresh, my styles are all gone. So just be careful about that. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it can be really annoying if you've done a lot and you can't remember what you did. Alright, so this page is looking pretty good about how we want it to. Still not exactly sure that I like how this looks, but I'm going to leave it alone for now because I'm not sure what I want to do with it. So I want to think about it a little bit more. I'm hoping that something will come to me. I'll just get an idea one day and say, oh, that's it. That would look great. So if that doesn't happen, then we'll have to come back and maybe I can look for some inspiration online, ask some other people to take a look at it. But for now, this page, it does what we want. Users can look for logos. They can sort, filter by category. They can get 2 different versions of the logo. And that's what we want. Great. Let's go to the home page and that'll probably be the next thing that we work on. I do want to commit our changes before we move on to a different page. And after I commit, I'm going to take a look at the live chat and see if there's any questions, because I want to be very aware of the time so that I make sure I can talk to you all in the live chat and answer your questions. So I just glanced at it, very quiet in the live chat today, which is fine. I get to get more work done if the chat is quiet, but it's kind of odd because we do have a decent number of people viewing. But let's commit. So we'll do a git status. Let me make this bigger. I'm sure you all are having trouble seeing that. Okay, so I just typed in git status just to double check what files have changed, and logos.js and logos.scss, that's what I expected to see, so that's good. Now we're going to do git commit, and then I'm going to add the AM flag, and the A means we're going to add first, so we're combining two steps, a git add with a git commit, and then the M means I'm going to add the commit message right here in the terminal along with the rest of the command. So let's say we center decrease. Alright, center logo, select and decrease category spacing. Yeah, so generally you do want to try to be as clear as you can in your commit messages. Sometimes, depending on the project you're contributing to or where you work at, there may be rules about what messages you can use. So, for instance, in the course I'm taking from Udacity, they actually have a style guide for Git commits. So there's a certain way that I have to write all the commits when I'm doing a project for that course. So it's likely that companies may have something similar as well, or particular projects. All right, so the commit worked. Have some additional things going on for this site. We have this here where it says Husky. This is what's running everything to change. So it's running prettier using standard JS rules to format all of our code in the same way, which is nice, so that everyone that commits, all the code gets formatted properly, and you don't have to worry about learning how I like things formatted, because it'll do it for you. These are some tests, and we've passed all the tests, and now it's been committed. So if you don't have all of this stuff set up, which you wouldn't if you're just starting your own project from scratch, you would probably just see this. And that would let you know that it worked. Now we have one final step. Since we're hosting this repository on GitHub, we want to make sure that we sync everything up with GitHub. So in this case, we have changes on our local machine that aren't on GitHub yet, so we want to push those changes up. So we're going to do git push origin master, because we're in the master, we're pushing everything in the master branch. There we go. So now we know it's up to GitHub. If there happened to be code on GitHub that we don't have yet on our local machine, instead we'd want to do git pull, and that will pull it down. Now I'm already up to date, okay, but it's a good idea to do a git pull every time you start. When you start the day, do a git pull right off the bat, and then that way your repository will be up to date, in case there are some changes that other people have made. Even if you're not working on a team, it's possible, and I've done this before, that you may have made some changes from a different computer and just forgotten about it. So the git pull is always a good idea. Okay, so let me check. Actually, it looks like there's not really any questions in the live chat, so I think I'm just going to keep coding. I'm going to say hi to everybody. So I see a lot of you said hi. So hey everyone. I appreciate you watching. Alright. we did have some pull requests that I forgot to mention. I like to give credit to those of you who are submitting pull requests to the project. And let me think, who had a pull request? Gavin submitted a pull request, and then we also had some clarifications and discussion on some other pull requests, so that I was able to correct some things in the project based on that information. So I appreciate that as well. Gavin's pull request was related to some errors that he was getting, and it's nice because perhaps some of you were getting them. I wasn't getting those errors, but just because I'm not getting them on my machine and my setup doesn't mean other people aren't. I know there have been some other errors that people are getting, so hopefully that not only corrects Gavin's errors, but maybe some of you. So if you had some errors in the past, maybe you might want to try pulling down the latest code from the repo and seeing if they're fixed now. Alright, so for this page, what I'd like to try to do is bring in, let's see, I think it'd be nice to have these centered vertically on the page. And also I'd like to bring in the real content and then see how it lines up, because I want all of these cards to be the same height. So right now they are, but it's only because they have the exact same content. I also would like to change these to our cards. So we had I think it was Rohit submitted a pull request a while ago, and he made a card that basically you could put anything in it, any possible combination that's common to material design cards was possible to do within this one component. So it's very useful. So I think I'd like to change these to those components, center it vertically, and add in the correct content. Okay, so let's do that. First thing we need to do is bring up the home page. So here's our home page. And sorry, I just for some reason my music just stopped on Spotify, and it was really odd. So it distracted me for a second. Oh, okay, I got to the end of my playlist. That makes sense. It seemed like it just stopped right in the middle of a song. I guess that's just how that song is. I saw a question come up in the live chat that I do want to address. So breakpoint, and I see breakpoint, I think you asked this somewhere else as well, like maybe in the GitHub repo, I think, 'cause I saw a message just come up earlier today. The question is about why Electron was added and being used in the project. So David had said, I think it was for running some of the tests, and yeah, so basically from what I understand, so from what Gavin said, I think yesterday in the live chat, is that he was getting errors when he was trying to run tests, and the errors were related to Electron, saying that he needed Electron. So that's what prompted him to add Electron, and it fixed those errors for him. I wasn't having those errors, but I thought I'd pull it in anyway because, as I said, there were other people that were having errors that were related to testing and things like that. So I thought, okay, well, it's possible that this is going to fix some of those problems. So if it turns out that it's not needed, then I'm definitely okay with removing it. I just want to make sure that everyone that's trying to clone this repo and use it is able to do so. So it's kind of hard for me to tell whether or not I need it, because like I said, I wasn't getting any of those errors on my machine, so I can't really remove it and test it out, because it's going to work for me no matter what. So I don't know if anyone is able to, let's say, replicate some of the errors. If you remove Electron to see what happens on your machine. I'm not sure what Gavin was running, what his setup was. So anyway, that's why Electron's there right now. I don't know that it needs to be there. Okay, let's get back to here. Let me check the time. Okay, we're still good. We got about like 20 minutes before I want to be done. May not need a lot of time for the question and answer, since there's just not a lot of questions yet. But I'll try to keep an eye on it. And if I see a lot of questions going in, I'll stop with the coding. So let's pull in. So while we have this logos.js file open, we have a good example of how to use that component, that generic card component. So let's do that first. We'll have them side by side, and I'm going to close that on the side so that we have a bit more space. So our card, I'll show you where this card is. Where did we use that? Oh, I know where we. Here it was at the top. Okay, so we have our card here, right? Is that where? No, it ends here. Okay. Oops. Okay, so this whole section here is our card. I'm just going to copy that and paste it here for now, just so that we can see it. So what we need, we don't need everything for this card. So for instance, we won't need our image, so we can take that out. The really cool thing about this generic card is that everything is just controlled by the props that we pass in. So if we don't pass them in, we just don't get that part. So I've removed the image source. Now I don't have the image part of the card. It's really cool. So we don't have to add a lot. It just simplified. The alternative was there was a bit more to add in and make sure that you include in your project. Let's say like up here. So for instance, like we had to import card title, card text. Now we won't have to do that. That's all taken care of in the generic card component. So it just simplifies things a bit. So we won't need these buttons. Let's see. In fact, we won't need the actions prop at all. Actually, let me double check. Let me double check the current version before I start removing everything. And let's see. So this is the current version. And okay, great. Yeah, we don't have any items there, so we can remove those actions. Oops, and get it all. So removing the actions. So now we can actually remove this class as well. So what do we need in here? So what we'll need, let's check out our generic card component. Card text. I guess we'll need a title. We're gonna have to do a little bit of extra styling, so just the default for cards is that things are left aligned. Obviously, it's not going to be like that. So I suppose title, and I don't really want to go with the subtitle for this text. So this will be the normal body text. So we'll definitely need a title, subtitle. This area with the icons is going to be a little bit challenging because we don't have that built into our generic card. But I'm not really sure I want to keep the font icons or not. Let me know what you all think. I mean, people are used to the icons, but really, I don't know. I don't know that they serve that much of a purpose. When I originally put them in, I thought that it needed something, that this was just way too plain, and it would be better if there was something, and it was also nice to have some continuity here so that, like, my thought was that at a glance people would know what this is. But really, like, I've stared at this thing for hours when I was building it, and I still don't know at a glance what each of these are. This is probably, maybe the only one that's the most straightforward, because if you knew that that was the symbol for PowerPoint, I suppose you could figure out that's PowerPoint. But the rest of it, I don't know. So maybe I'll leave them out for now until I decide for sure whether or not I want to do them. And then if I do want to, I'll figure out how to make that work with our generic card component. But for now, let's try to put in, let's see, trying to see how we had the okay, so card title is definitely a prop. Card title, and oops, I'll put in for the first one is brand manual. So let's just put that in. We also need to include this generic card. And what I'm trying to look for now is, did we have a prop for text? Title, subtitle, avatar, media overlay, title, subtitle, actions, children, classes. I think we didn't. So I think what we ended up with was just whatever text that I would put in here. So I'd get rid of this and then add in the text. So whoops. Need that generic card. Okay, so I think whatever is in here ends up being the text. See, because we have children under card text. So let's see if that works. Okay, great. So that did work. So I can safely get rid of, I think, all these cards, and let's stick with this for now. And let's bump this up. Oh, well, that'll, I'm not worried about how that looks. It'll get auto formatted soon. So we can get rid of all of these cards, and since they're all the same, we can highlight them, and I can just paste in this, and I pasted this twice, so let's get rid of that. So if you like that little trick, it's multiple cursors. So depending on what editor you use, it'll probably have multiple cursors. With Atom, you press Command D on a Mac, or I think it's Control D on Windows. Oh, and I'm getting a call. I think it's a spam call on my cell phone. So I've been getting calls from somebody claiming to be the IRS and saying that I messed up on my taxes. So I haven't answered it. I've just gotten their messages. I'm really tempted to answer it and just play along for a while, just for fun, but I just haven't. I've been too busy for that. Okay, cool. So here's all our cards using the generic card component. Definitely think that's too much space in between there, so we'll work on that. But for now, let's go ahead and get 211. Okay, let's put in the correct content for each of these. Since I have it up here, may as well do it. Oops. I was trying to copy and paste, but it's actually it's difficult because each one of the cards are clickable, so it keeps navigating away. So I may have to type this out. Logos and posters. This might not be a great idea because this will be pretty boring. Alright, how about let's not add all that in because that's probably boring for you all. Shoot, I wanted one that was bigger than the others just to try. I guess if I shrunk it enough, I might. There we go. That's all I really wanted. I just wanted one to be a bit taller. Okay, so what I need. I don't think I have time to do both of these, but I want to make sure that these cards are always the same height, and then I also want to align these vertically. So I'm wondering, we've already done vertical alignment like last week, I think. So let's try to make these all the same height. I know that there's a way that I've used before with Flexbox that makes this easy to do, but it depends on the structure of the div. So I know with Materialize it didn't work because of the div structure. It may work here though. Yeah. Yes, I think it will work. Okay. Cool. And I think that on the current site, yes, I did. All right. Alright, so let me pull this over just to show you how I've done this. So I've added some Flexbox, display flex, flex extraction column. I thought I did it with these ones. Let me double check. Yeah, I think I did. Okay, so let me move this off to the side, and we'll try to apply some of those same things here. And I think the structure is close enough that yeah, I think it's close enough that it should work. What was I use? It looks like I used Bootstrap for this. I forgot that I used Bootstrap. Actually, it appears that I somehow used both Bootstrap and Materialize for this project. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe I don't really know. It was too long ago and I can't remember. Zama says that's not Bootstrap. Yeah, no, some of it, the thing that made me think it was Bootstrap is because I have this class Jumbotron and I have this column MD4, which I thought was how Bootstrap did their columns, because that's definitely not, materialized columns are like this. So the rest of it, the styles are more like, what the user sees are materialized. And so I've, like this card hoverable, that's from materialized. So I vaguely remember switching like halfway through. So I think I started with Bootstrap and then I went to materialized, but I may have just left in some of the Bootstrap classes and maybe copied some of the code. So like maybe I just left a bit of Bootstrap CSS in there. I sincerely hope that I did not actually load all of Bootstrap and all of Materialize on this project. I'm not even going to check to see if I did, because I'll be mad at myself if I did that. So if I didn't already say this project was quite a while ago that I originally did this, so I'm much more knowledgeable now. Oh, Zama says, in your styles, it seems it's coming from marcomtab.min.css. Yeah, that's. I ended up putting, I think, everything in the marcomtab.min.css. So it's entirely possible that there's a mixture of different frameworks and custom stuff all in there. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I did start with Bootstrap, but then I didn't finish. I went to Materialize. So I'm not sure if I just left the classes and there's nothing going on with them or what I did exactly. But in any case, I think it's close enough that we can try to do the same thing. So let's go. So I think we had a display flex on the row. What was that? Yeah, display flex on the row and then flex wrap. Okay. So my strategy for this is I'm just going to copy over everything exactly how it was, and then I'm going to try to get rid of stuff to see if I actually need all of this or not. So for this, let's try. Whoops. Display flex. Okay, so far not really anything. Oh, we did have some stuff happening, right? We had. So we've noticed some change, not really a change for the better. And then here on our card, okay, let's do. And this is not. We're not really given a class here. Let's see if I can. I'll try to do it like that for now. Whoops. I just wanted to see if I could select all of these. We'll need to add a class, I suppose. So we need display flex. Okay, not. All right. Well, this at this point, this is actually what we want, right? They're all the same height and width, at least per row. So that's what we want. I mean, it's messed things up in here, but that can be the next step. So this is good for now. Let's go flex. Oops. Flex direction. Column. With percent. Okay. Actually, wow, that works. That works. And Yeah, it needs a little bit of adjustment here, but all right, that achieves what we want. So now I'm going to very carefully move move this over so I can see it, and we're going to add those styles here. So I'll probably do some inline styles, and then do I have, I'm not sure that I have a SAS file already for home. No, I don't. So we may have to make that, but I think I'm going to run out of time before I make that. Yeah, so let's at least get some of it going in line here, just to make sure that it works. And then for this row we had flex, or display flex, and I believe we also had flex wrap. So since the CSS inside the style is an array, or I'm sorry, an object with key value pairs, we put a comma between each CSS declaration. So flex wrap, flex wrap, wrap. Oops. Okay, now on this column, and here's what I'm going to remove this row, because that was causing some of the spacing issues that we saw when it went down to one column. So remove that row and here. And now we only have to worry about flex on that row as well. So on this div, see, this is where I definitely want to make, I have time? No, I'm not going to have time. So basically, just to let you know what's going to happen, so we've already done it in DevTools, we know that it works. What needs to happen next, and what will happen, is those styles just need to be applied to each column and then to each card. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create another SAS file, just like we did with logos. So it'll be home.scss, and then I'll put those styles that are going to apply to each one of these columns and each one of these cards in there. And then we'll import it at the top like we did in logos. So we'll grab import our styles, but it'll be home.css, and then everything we need will get applied. So that's pretty straightforward. I'll probably finish that up before I leave today, and I'll push that to the repo in case you all want to check it out once it's finished. Okay, cool. That's not bad. I actually got. I wasn't sure that we'd even get that far, but I'd like to take the rest of the time, let's say the next 4 minutes, to answer any questions that you might have. If you were just here for the code, you don't want to stick around for the next 5 minutes of questions, I really appreciate you joining in, and I'll be back next week. Otherwise, put your question in now. If I don't get your question because I have to go to my performance review, please send it to me on Twitter or any social media or as a comment below, and I'll try to get to it as soon as I can. I do know that I'm a bit backed up on getting to some of the YouTube comments. I know that. I have not forgot you. I will try to catch up when I can. Just been a bit busy lately. I'm sure you all know how that goes. Sometimes you just have a lot going on. Okay. Okay, so we still had some discussion about Electron being in use. So if, I'm not sure. I was trying to think if we had, I don't think we have very much yet in the repo. Actually, this might not be a bad idea to bring up as an issue so that we can have a record of the discussion of it, because we have had some stuff in the live chat, but that's not really persistent enough so that people can keep joining in. So if I remember later after my meeting, maybe I'll make an issue about it just to discuss whether or not we need Electron or what our alternatives should be. If one of you want to make the issue before then, feel free. We can continue the discussion about it there, and then anyone can join in. Let's see. Let's see. Skillful Mess says, has he ever ran this yet? Are you talking? I'm assuming you're talking about this project, but I'm not sure. I mean, in terms of have I ever ran it? It's running locally. I haven't put it on a server yet, but I have every reason to believe that it would it would work on a server as well. Oh, okay. Rohan just had a really good point. I was wondering about this myself. In regard to Electron being used, it said probably it's one of the dependencies required, but for some reason isn't declared. If it's not declared, it won't be downloaded as a sub-dependency. So, yeah, I thought that. I'm not sure how likely that is, though. But I think it's a good point. Okay, Rohan also says the other possibility is that it does use headless Chrome to run tests, and if you don't have Chrome or have disabled headless, it tries Electron, and then there's the optional undeclared dependency. That makes a lot of sense. If I had to guess which one is the right answer to our problem here, that's what I would guess. I'm not sure. I don't think I asked Gavin what browser he was trying. I mean, I would assume he would have Chrome, but I never asked, so. Okay, Rohan says no icons and left align looks nice. Okay, cool. It does look a bit bare in terms of there's just not a lot. I mean, this is an odd shaped screen. Let's make it more reasonable. Okay, this is a more reasonable size screen for people on campus, at least. So, all right, yeah, it doesn't look that bad like this. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it until we get the actual content in there. No use, trying to see, nitpick about the look, I guess, until we get the real content in. Okay, David said the page looks a bit bare without some kind of icon. There's a lot of white space. Rohan says vertically centering would make it look better. Yeah, let's check it out. David, I do agree. It does look bare. I'm thinking about. We'll see. Yeah, I'm thinking about adding those icons back in, but yeah, I really do want to see what it looks like with the real content in there and vertically centered, and then I think I can decide about the logos, or the icons. I mean. Breakpoint asks, what command were these users doing that caused the errors? Actually, sorry everyone, I'm not going to get to address all the questions. I just looked up and it is 2:30, so I need to go see my boss now for a performance review. So hopefully I've done a good job this year and it'll be a nice performance review. And otherwise it's Friday, right? It's just the weekend, so I won't see you all until Monday. So have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you later.